Let's start off by talking about that year when you committed. What initially stood out about Arkansas? What did Coach Deifel say to you guys to convince you to come here, especially looking at the record, looking at where they were and going, do I want to join the Razorbacks? What stood out to you guys?
I will say that, she's just incredibly kind, and you hear about some visits from like your friends and just the process that everyone else goes through, and she was very welcoming, the whole staff was, and we have Paige greet you at the airport, and she's just like bubbly and makes you feel at home right away. And SEC's SEC, whether you're struggling or not, and the opportunity to maybe be a part of something bigger is very attractive, for me at least as a recruit.
Yeah, I just wanted to play in the SEC. I think that was my biggest thing, and I wanted to be sponsored by Nike.
Big factor.
But yes, Coach D is very, very sweet, and just all the camps I came to, she was just so inviting, and all the coaches' staff and pages was just awesome. So yeah, same.
Yeah, it just came down to the SEC. I've always wanted to play in that conference, especially growing up watching softball. The SEC is the best. So we knew that it was an up-and-coming program. Coach Deifel was like, you are going to be, and the rest of the freshman class are going to be a big part of turning this program around, and you can do something historic for this program. And I think all of us were like, yeah, we're ready for that. I think we all have a chip on our shoulder, and it's just been great so far.
So she said that to you. She said that you were going to be a part of something historic. To all of you guys, did she say that?
She said we're an up-and-coming program, and you guys are going to be the foundation of what this program is going to be one day. And I think all of us were like, heck yeah. So.
You believed her. That was just, like you said, heck yeah, we want to be a part of that. What about that statement and her telling you that made you believe that, especially looking at their record, what they have done in the past? What made you say, I'm buying into this?
I think they had players that showed a lot of potential. It just hadn't been pieced together. Like right around when we were committing, Ashley Diaz was in here doing really big things as a freshman. Stephanie Canfield was amazing. There's lots of girls that did really good things, but it just didn't have the cohesiveness to work yet. And you could see that there was a foundation already, and then we were supposed to just strengthen it.
Is that true for both of you as well? It was just seeing the potential of what she already had in here?
Yeah, I played against these two in travel ball and some of the other people in our class who have left already, but just knowing that the competitors that they were and our class in just all together, I think was a great foundation for it. So I was just so excited.
Mary, I asked you this, and you made a really good statement on senior day, how special this was for you guys, because you really truly have been here for the bad times. Can you remember a moment or come back to a moment where you thought, oh, things are not going well for us. How are we going to turn this into what we have done today?
I think just coming in our freshman year, at least for myself, and I'm sure Coach Deifel would think the same thing, is every year we just need to be a little bit better. And I think being a little bit better every year gave us opportunity to get those big transfers to come in and really do have the missing pieces that we were missing. I think Hannah was spot on with, we had the players that we needed, we were just missing a few. And I think that we were some of those few, and also getting transfers in really just completed the puzzle. But I think just being better every year really gave us that opportunity to keep the program moving forward.
Was there a moment where you were nervous or where you were like, oh gosh, can we actually do this?
We got swept our very first SEC series in a messy fashion, so that was a little bit intimidating. But yeah, I think how she said it, we weren't expected to come in and win the World Series our freshman year. It was literally just try to have a winning record and then try to win more series and then try to win all your series, and now it's just step by stepping where we want to be. It's not about making a huge jump. It's about getting there eventually and making it so it's regular around here.
Lindy, did you have anything to add about that one?
No, I also think that Coach D just created that culture of, getting better every year, getting better every practice, and just instilling that in our minds. And I think learning that as a freshman was why we could pave the way for the freshmen now, sophomores and juniors and everything, just showing them what we went through and how they can continue on this legacy of Coach Deifel and what we learned.
It's been cool to see that, like you said, a step-by-step process where you've taken, you've gone from just, okay, we just need to have a winning record. And then, like you said, it just goes baby steps, right? Now that you've gotten here, how does it feel for each of you?
Amazing. It's really, really cool.
I think there's a lot more satisfaction in it that way. I was talking to Reagan about it the other day, and she's like, doesn't it feel a little bit cooler to like feel like you were a part of something instead of just like handed this great program? Like, yeah, it does. Like, I feel like I actually was a part of making it this way and helping you guys understand what it was and what it's like to struggle a little bit and work through it and get what you want out of it. And I think that our underclassmen appreciate it a lot more and understand that it wasn't always like, hey, we're winning every game. Yeah, I think it's a lot more satisfying to see the result when it wasn't there initially.
Do you talk to, like you just said, you speak to some of the players that you did play with in previous classes who have now graduated? Have they said anything about what you guys have been able to accomplish? And is a little part of you hoping that you can, do it for their legacy too?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All the time. Like Ryan Jackson texted me after the SEC saying like how proud she was, and Tori and Nicole Schroeder were at our games in A&M, and they talk about how amazing it is to see. And I mean, we're in touch with a lot of the girls, and every time we do anything, they're like, it's so cool, like you guys are literally amazing, and we love watching you, and it's so cool that like we were a part of it and we got to play with you guys. And I just think that they kind of instilled that in us. They taught us the rules, they taught us how to act, like how to carry yourself, and we're kind of projecting that, and thankfully we have the talent and abilities to show for it on the field. But yeah, they reach out all the time and tell us how proud they are of us.
That's awesome. To springboard off of what you just said, I mean, for you guys, maybe a question that maybe one of you can answer is, how did they pave the way exactly besides teaching you the ropes, all those things, and is some of what you've been able to do, should go to them a little bit, credit should go to them for laying that foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming in as freshmen, I feel like that first year you really learn what's right and what's wrong. And I think, when we were underclassmen, we had some really strong upperclassmen that taught us the way, taught us about hard work, and taught us that, you're going to have to grind. This is a school where you're going to have to grind, and nothing in the SEC is given for free. So I think them just instilling that in us has gotten us to where we are today, in our mindset.
Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, a lot of tough love, and it paid off.
Yeah.
I think a lot.
It definitely did pay off to see you guys. It just feels there are people, that talk on broadcasts about you guys and say, we just don't know where this Arkansas team came from, right? But you guys do, right? You guys have just said we've been working on the foundation. What do you think about the turnaround as a whole? For you guys to describe it, if you had, a couple words to describe it, how would you describe this turnaround?
Night and day.
Yeah, trust the process. I think there were times where, I think at least, my sophomore year, we kind of, the freshman year we made the super, and then sophomore year we lost in the regional. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like we don't want to go downhill from here. And then I think just, trusting the process and knowing like, okay, like we still need to keep moving forward. But yeah, just trusting the process got us here, and, hopefully keeps the program going once we're gone.
Yeah, I think so.
She's like echoing what they said, because that's great. Obviously, we've talked about, you've probably talked about a lot, the chip on your shoulder. You just brought it up, Mary. Coach Deifel brings it up all the time, that you play with a chip on your shoulder. How much do you think that comes from the disrespect of, we don't know who this Arkansas team is? How much of that comes from that journey, that process, and what do you think of it?
I think it all comes from that. I think if people didn't doubt us, it's a lot harder to have that, but from the get-go and even after proving ourselves, people still think that it's Arkansas from 5 years ago, and they're going to come in and they're going to run roll us and they're going to sweep us and it's going to be easy. And I think that's also satisfying to know that people think we're an easy task, and then we come in and we win. It's very satisfying.
Yeah, I think it's hard for some people to, realize that this program is completely different than what it used to be. I think we've started a new tradition here, and I think that, yeah, people still underestimate us. Whenever we get the preseason rankings, from previous years, we're like, wow, we proved ourselves last year, but they still don't think that we can carry it over to the next year. So the fact that we can have 2 back-to-back years that were historic, hopefully, can change the mantra of Arkansas softball, and people can start, realizing that we're here to stay.
I love. Once again, yep, echoing their statement. Once again, agreeing with what they say. This might go without saying, but your goals this year, obviously we're talking about that slow build. Obviously make it to OKC and make a run at it, right? And hopefully bring home a title. That's everyone's goal. That's this team's goal this year, right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, you're like,
Absolutely.
yes. How do you think you can achieve that?
Sticking to what we've been doing, and there's no reason for us to play any different or play like anyone else. We play our best when we stay within our bubble, and we let Mary do what she's good at, and let Lenny do what she's good at, and I do what I'm good at, and everyone else do what they're good at. There's no reason to. I'm not going to try and swing like her, and she's not going to try to swing like me, and I'm surely not getting in the circle. So it's just sticking to what you know and what you're good at, and also believing in the person next to you and what they can do. And you just have to have each other's backs to make a good run and believe in each other, because it gets harder and harder, and the success kind of fluctuates a little bit, but knowing that it does fluctuate, so it comes back to you. It's not always going to be on a downhill slope.
Coach Steifel said something a few games back, that it stays in with us. It stays in this group. Can you explain what that meant and what that means to this team staying within the group, and why that will help you moving forward?
I think it has to do with kind of how, I guess, underrated people think we are. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Like, whatever this group, this circle thinks is what matters most. And I think that's why we're so successful, is because you can look at social media and, the news and ESPN and whatnot, and you don't really see us, but we see us, and we know that we're a really good collective group. So, yeah, that's all that matters.
A few final questions for you guys. What do you think is so special about this team specifically? Now, you guys have seen a few Arkansas softball teams. What is special about this one?
I think in general, we've always been special because we're a very close group. We have a lot of respect and love for each other, and I think that doesn't go across the board for a lot of teams, and we genuinely like each other. And I think on top of that, we have a lot more competitiveness this year, where it's, I love you and I want to do good for you and you want to do good for me, but I'm a competitor and I'm going to do everything I can to do my part so that you guys can do your part.
We also have a lot of talent this year. I think the transfers, and I mean, our 1 through 6 or 7 is just either seniors or juniors, Hannah Gemmel, but just a lot of softball IQ, high softball IQ, and our circle is just amazing, and we just have a lot of talent.
Yeah, like what you said, I feel like on every, aspect of the game that we're just elevated to a level that I've never seen before, especially at this program. I think that comes from the transfers, the fifth-year seniors that came back. Like, we've been down this road before. We've been, at different programs, but we know what it takes to win. And I feel like that's really, what set us apart this year.
I think you guys will be remembered, your group, for taking that chance. And even Coach Steifel said, I'm just so thankful for the players, for everyone who was a part of this and the journey. She talked about that, after you guys won the championship the other day. And I think that was so big that she didn't just thank you guys, she thanked everyone that was a part of this. And that meant past players and present players. How do you think that what you guys were able to accomplish in your time here will set Arkansas up for the future?
I think we just changed the standard. I feel like before people were not okay with losing, but they were, they associated Arkansas with not being the best team in the SEC. And now that we've changed that mindset and of, fans and future recruits out there, they want to come play for Arkansas. They would choose Arkansas over Bama or over Florida. So I think just, changing the idea of Arkansas softball in people's minds will keep this program, going.